Hello, everybody. Hello to our audience and hello to our guests. It's Oscar qualifying 14th International Animated Film Festival. And to be honest, I have no idea what I am doing here and I am leaving. Of course, that was supposed to be a bad joke of a host. So I think it worked. Of course, I'm really honored to welcome, and it's a great pleasure to host our guests, directors and producers of short films in today's 6 Q&A sets of International Short Film Competition. So far we had 2 sets, now it's a high time for the third one, which name is Life is No Theater. And let me introduce our guests. Karolina Sandvik from Sweden, a film The Expected. Hi, Karolina.
Hello.
And
hi.
Then we have Joanna Quinn and Les Mills from United Kingdom with a film Affairs of the Art. And shortly, hi there.
Hi.
Shortly, I would like to introduce the intros of your films for those people who didn't watch them, so that they can be a little bit updated. Let's start with The Expected. A pregnant woman is lying in a tub. A man is preparing breakfast in the kitchen. Suddenly, the woman starts bleeding, and moments later, the man finds her drained of all her blood. And then Affairs of the Art. How many obsessions can one family have? Beryl, the working-class heroine, exposes the addictions of her eccentric family. Guys, once again, hello. And I prepared some general questions as a warm-up for us, for you, and for our audience to get to know you better. Let's start with Karolina. Could you please tell us what inspires you in general as a creator?
In general, I would say I always have some film history, and especially from the horror genre. And then different genres for different films. And that's kind of what I use as a overall structure. But then when it comes to the plot or the details in the film, I'm taking stuff from my own everyday life when it comes to, for example, the props and the gestures and the.
We have some permanent
details. Okay. So I wanted to. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, now yes. Just a few problems, technical problems, but we are caught up, so you can continue.
Okay. No, but maybe that was like a first.
The whole answer. Yeah. Okay.
That was the whole answer. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I get it. Okay, what about you guys? Joanna, Les, where do you find inspirations for your daily artwork?
God, I mean, this film is the 4th film with the same character in it, the woman called Beryl. And the character was established way back in 35 years ago. Yeah. And we've done 4 films, 4 very different films. And this one was an attempt to show Beryl, who's considerably older now than she was, as we are, right? We wanted to bring in characters from the history, her family history, and show the characteristics of the family in terms of obsessions, their interests, and basically, we've never done that before, not with her family. It's always been Beryl as the character and incidents or events. So this was a new experience to actually go into the back history of where she comes from, what her ambitions are, and what her family's obsessions are, basically.
So the inspirations that we used are a lot of Les's family.
Okay.
And people we know, because I think our films are very much based on character. They're all characters, and so it is based on people that we've observed or are related to.
Yeah, and family and friends can be very inspiring. So, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Carolina, can you briefly describe the process of creating your movies?
Okay, so yeah, I usually the idea starts with like an image, or that I start to think of a certain scenario that can be kind of very simple. It's just like a short scene, something that kind of interests me, and then usually an idea starts, and then I keep it for a while until I start to develop the script. And so when I come to the point,
And then short break again.
developing the story. Okay.
Yeah.
Am I with you?
Yeah, yes, we can hear.
That period is kind of a short one in the process, where I just like write it and then make a storyboard, but kind of at the same time I would also start working on the actual the sets and the props and the puppets, which will but
Okay, a few seconds.
But I'm gonna do so. Okay. And so far, the films I've made them on my own completely, so I don't have to take into consideration anyone else's opinion. So I just make a plan for my film. I make it, and it takes a long time to, especially the building of the sets and the characters and everything around it. That's the biggest part of the process.
Yeah. And have you ever considered working with a team, or just you prefer to stay as an independent creator?
No, I don't mind. I don't mind bringing other people in, as long as I can completely control the situation.
Yeah.
No, but for example, I've had a friend of mine making the clothes, and
3 seconds.
But I really prefer to do everything, or as much as possible, myself when it comes to animation and editing and
I get it completely. Yeah, thank you.
Everything.
Everything, yeah. Joanna, Les, what about you? What about your process? How do you collaborate?
Well, Les is the writer, so he comes. I suppose first of all we come up with a rough idea. Then Les writes the script, because there are lots of versions of the same script. And then once we're happy with that, I start doing sketches in big books, and from that start doing the storyboard. So it becomes and then when I do the storyboard and say, actually, we could do this, we then go back and change the script, and eventually the storyboard really takes place of the script. And then I start to animate. I make it sound really simple and quick, but it takes years.
This one did.
This one did.
Yeah, okay. Les, would you like to add something, or Joanna said everything?
No, I think because we know each other very well for a long time, and we've made other films together, I think the process is is an idea, whatever the idea is. But if it's going to involve the same characters, then the idea is going to be stronger than the previous film because we've done it already in a sense. So writing is the easiest of the process in a sense because it's very quick and you can change things very quickly. And it might change if we take a long time to do it. I might change part of the script, but generally the script is more or less complete before Joanna agrees with the overall concept.
Yep.
And then she takes over in terms of the visuals. But we do very intensive character profiles. I write very intense character descriptions of each character, and they're very visual descriptions as well as telling him about the characteristics of the character. So Joe will then do a series of drawings, look for the image to represent that character, and there's a lot of that. There's hundreds and hundreds of different drawings, ideas. As she said, she loves to draw, basically. The process of drawing is what Joanna loves more than anything else. So the frustration thing, if you're a writer, is that animation takes so long.
Well,
you write, it's years before you actually see it.
Our type of animation.
But we collaborate a lot. I'm very critical of what she does in terms of the visual and the drawing and everything else, because my background is fine art and Joe's is graphic design. So there's a visual kind of an intense visual presence throughout it, even though I write.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Thank you. And Carolina, can you find something challenging that you met while creating your movie? Have you met any problems during the process?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's. I think everything is kind of complicated. One thing is the puppets I make, or the puppets for this film I had for the main character. His body is an old Barbie doll that I mutilated until it was kind of working for a purpose. And so I had two different versions. So I had one where he's dressed, where he has this Barbie doll underneath the clothes, and then in some scenes he's naked, kind of puppet that's not so flexible as the other one. So I think a lot of struggle is to make him appear alive, because he just can't do some things. And that's also what I like about it, that it's I imagine some things, and then when it comes to the actual animation, I find out that it's not possible, or his arm breaks or whatever. So and when he, for example, when he sits in the tub and he looks down with wire to make him sit still and not like have his arms like this. So yeah, a lot of physical struggle. Yeah.
Okay, physical struggle. What about Joanna and Les? Also physical struggle, or something different? Or we fight. Okay. Yeah.
I think animation, unlike model animation, which is a physical thing and you're battling with these models, drawn animation is very controlled. It's much easier physically to do, and I'm very experienced animating, so that's fine. But I think making a film is just one long series of problem solving. The whole thing is problem solving. It's like, there's an idea, and then you think, okay, how do I get from there to there? And then, everything is problem solving all the time. And then when you're working with people and you're looking at their animation and you're studying their animation, wondering how it fits into the bigger picture, you're then problem solving with their animation, you know, making sure that you're getting the best out of your team. So I think it is one long problem that you're just trying to find answers to all the way through, all different types of problems. But in terms of animation, I don't feel, you know, it comes quite easily now doing animation, drawn animation. But just
so you always find solution for potential.
You always find a solution.
Yeah, great.
That's why
great to hear that. Yeah. All right, guys. That was a warm up. Now I would like to talk with Carolina about the expected a bit. A few questions to you. You confront us with massively hard issue of domestic violence. Harder to watch in such silence because your animation focuses on pure sound effects, like, I don't know, tapping water or boiling eggs or cutting food. So there is no music, just we can, it's so thick that, in my opinion, we can feel physically somehow that what is going on between the main characters. So did you want to mark in your animation that silence screams the most?
Yeah, maybe, but definitely that's one of the things that are really important to me, the use of sound, because if I would have put a soundtrack, a music soundtrack on parts of the film, it would take the viewer
few seconds.
And that's also what I like when I watch films. I like to feel as you know, immersed as possible. I think that's because film has that ability. So that's kind of what I want to achieve, because I think it's the story or the plot, it has elements of, you know, the fantastic, but I still want to keep a sense of realism. So that's why I want to use this, and I also make it myself. So I like use stuff that's yeah. I make this, and that also makes it make me feel closer to the characters in the film. So
yeah, I get it. Thank you. Also, from your statement, that luckily I had a chance to read, we can get to know that your work is influenced by psychological thrillers, horrors, also giallo. And did you find these genres perfect to reflect this also massive atrocity in violence? Was it helpful to use those genres?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to how I develop my films, it's not like I have this concept at first where I know I want to make a film about this certain subject. It's like I said before, start with an image or something. Like in this case, it was. That's at least one of the answers I give sometimes, is that I had tried out in my studio. I had made puppets in a certain type of clay, and then I put latex on them, and then I noticed that how the clay shrunk, and then the latex became like a skin. So that was like a first. I need to make something from this. So I think everything is kind of I'm not the horror genre doesn't come afterwards as a it's kind of there as a from the start along with everything else. I don't know if that's
that makes sense, of course. And are you working on something new right now?
Yes, I am. I'm working on on a film called The Lovers. So it's also a body horror relationship.
All right. Okay. So for sure, we'll be able to dive into more in the future, near future, hopefully.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Carolina. And now, affairs of the art. Joanna, Les, as I mentioned before we went online, I'm really happy that this topic of becoming an artist showed up in your film. Because I was thinking that your film is a perfect definition of artist's life, meaning the whole process. I mean, struggling, ambitions, frustrating, being frustrated, trying, working hard, then again frustrating. Does it also reflect your way?
Yes, I think so, yes. It is very frustrating, yes.
But it is more pleasant or more frustrating?
More frustrating.
Really?
Les, do you agree that it is more frustrating? Do you agree with Joanna?
Do I agree with that? No, I think Joanna loves to animate and loves to draw.
Yeah, I suppose I do.
So, you know, to say that it's frustrating when you can't crack a scene or you can't get something, you know, the way you want it. But it's a long film and there's lots of very different things going on in it. And they're all problematic at some point. But Joanna finds it pretty easy to just, which is why she still does things which are not films. Like she was drawing yesterday online. She was drawing a model with a group of people from all over the world and just enjoying it because she loves the act of drawing. So I think that's when she's happiest, when the film is going well, the characters, the drawings, the scenes are working. It's only problematic when we both come to an impasse and we're trying to figure out, like for instance, the ending. We took about 5 years, I think, to come up with the ending, you know, and in the end, it repeated the beginning. So it was very simple, but the struggle to get that bit right was
I think it becomes frustrating. It's like what Carolina was saying. When you're in control, you know, when you've got the control and you know exactly what you're doing and you've got nobody else to answer to, it's much easier, you know, and enjoyable. But then once you start introducing other elements to the filmmaking, like the post-production and things like that, where you sort of start to lose a little bit of control because more people are getting involved, it's quite hard to, because you've got to speak your mind and really be able to articulate what it is that you want to do. And sometimes it's very intuitive, you know, making a film and you're working out how to do stuff. So when you have to communicate with people and express an opinion or really have an opinion, I know I want it like this. That's when it becomes quite frustrating and difficult.
That's the moment.
Yeah.
All right, we all have a chance to get to know Beryl more, the main protagonist. So where is she now and what's on her mind?
Well, she's having a fantastic time. She's in your festival.
Okay.
Enjoying herself. Yeah, she's traveling around all these festivals while
we can't do it.
While we're here struggling with our internet.
Yeah.
No, she's having a lovely time. Meeting all these people from all over the world. Sorry, we have a fly in here.
No problem.
But we're going to have a little break from Beryl now. We've done Beryl, and So at the moment, we're trying to work out, well, we're still recovering, I think, really from making that film, because it took an awful lot of work and a lot of years. And so we put a lot of stuff aside to do the film. So we're really sort of catching up with stuff that we were meant to be doing when we were doing the film.
You were faster because I wanted to ask if you are planning to tell a bit more about Beryl in a near future, but I think sometimes it's good to say, let's make a break and maybe come back later to telling the further story, right?
Yes, I think the one thing that we both agree is that if we do anything, it's going to be really, really, really short.
Yeah.
Simple.
About 10 seconds. Simple.
10
No
seconds.
background.
Like Carolina
Shortest film ever.
described it. What Carolina described is total control, simplicity, not spending too long doing it and moving on. And that's what we want, but we find it very difficult to do that sometimes,
All right. Okay. Coming back to artist's life, because I would like to talk about one issue more. Artist's life, or just an artist's position, because it's really hard to name it as a job when you are not paid enough as an artist, or not paid at all, or sometimes even you have to invest your own private money to create, and that's the thing that all artists all around the world struggle with. I am afraid also that your film can be as well as warning. And also a guidebook how to avoid an idea of becoming an artist. Is it true, in my thinking, that it can be a warning? Of course, watching what Beryl's struggling.
No, I wouldn't think it was a warning at all. I would have thought it was supposed to be encouraging, because she's middle-aged and she's been trapped in her life, because she hasn't had those opportunities, and so she decides, sod it, I'm going to be an artist and I'm going to do what I want to do. So and she does it. So I think it's supposed to be encouraging.
Yes, because when you see the film, the first thing that comes up in the film is Beryl saying, basically describing when she was 18, wanting to go to art school and getting pregnant. I mean, the whole thing was that stopped her creative life totally for years. Yeah. So it's a simple idea, really. I mean, it's a complicated film, but it's a simple idea. It's a simple idea.
Again, there is a hope that when the idea comes up, for example, of becoming an artist, the time comes to fulfill the dream, right?
Yes.
So what about nudging young generation to become an artist? Do you have some prescription to nudge young people to become an artist?
Well, we both teach, periodically, so we're always involved with young people, starting out in animation. So I guess
so we are encouraging all the time.
All the time, trying to give them ideas, projects that will unwrap their own personal ideas.
And I suppose, and one of the things that we like to do is to assume that everybody is artistic, or that people, the students that we meet who go, oh, I want to do this, and we always sort of encourage them to start small, just think of a really simple idea and then expand, rather than have a big idea and then fail. Start with something very small and just gradually. Simplicity, yeah.
And bringing
personality.
Yeah, their own personal. Because students, a lot of students, they when they're starting out, they're influenced by so many different things. They tend to imitate or copy, and they never explore their own inner selves in a very simple way. And I think the best work we've ever got working with students has been when they concentrate on something in their own lives. It's very significant, very simple, and they develop it that way.
And I think as well, being on juries for film festivals is a real eye-opener, because you realise that, because on the juries you get a mixture of people, you know, some like animation gods and you know, all people from all different lives. And the one thing that everybody always responds to favourably is an original idea, you know, something that's very personal. And it's always about story, you know, it's always about, that's a really resonant story and I can't get it out of my mind. Even if the animation is crude or not brilliant, it's always about story and about an original idea that tends to be quite personal. That rings through rather than being terribly clever with your animation or bending.
Or trying to imitate things that already exist, you know. People get very influenced by, you know, big deal kind of movies.
I think there are two things going on. I think a lot of students are at college because they want to get jobs, you know, and so they're trying to find, you know, to refine their skills. And of course, they're looking at all of these movies to try and be employed by those companies. But I think filmmaking is something very different. And I think that's much more about the idea and experimentation with the techniques.
That's why it's really important that you mention simplicity, because we are surrounded in the world which is telling you all the time, think big or bigger. And we are simply scared maybe of trying, right? That can be a reason of that. Okay, before I say goodbye to you, I would like to invite our audience for the further sets of short movies at 14th International Animated Film Festival. Thank you for being with us. And thank you guys for being with us also today. It was really a great pleasure to talk to you. To get inspired, and I hope to talk to you in the future as well. And I keep my fingers crossed for your new projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.